This is a photo I took a couple of years ago of downtown Calgary, and for the longest time I didn't pay any attention to it because it kind of, to be honest, kind of looked boring. I'm always looking for those monumental street scenes with the large buildings on each side drawing your eye down the road and some interesting shape at the end. Earlier this year I took another look at it, and I kind of noticed it actually had a lot of the elements I liked. It does have nice, fairly interesting buildings on the side. It has a very nice shape at the end here, and this, which is a little hard to see in this photo, is a very colorful and fairly interesting section of this building. So it had quite a few of the elements. I don't worry about the arrangement of cars or the lack of people because I just make that up. So anyway, I revisited this and I thought, you know, maybe I could change some things around and make it more interesting. In particular, there's way too much sky. There's so much sky, it just sort of pushes the buildings apart rather than creating unity. So I thought if I really reduced the sky and brought these buildings in more and enlarged this building, that it might have potential as a painting. So here's the first painting I did based on that photograph. And I've corrected some of the things. I've moved the buildings in here. I've created a more interesting sky shape, enlarged this building, which is actually a church, and made apparently a very big deal of this colorful shape here, and created some figures and you know, an interesting street scene. I do really like these trees as a transition from sort of the midground of the buildings to the background. Okay, about a month ago I was doing another workshop, and I thought I would play with the idea of that photograph and take it even further. So what I've done here is I brought the buildings in even more, created more buildings, so it's a much more interesting, in terms of buildings, it's much more interesting. And I've really tightened up the sky shape to make that even more interesting. And I played with the idea of this building. Now during the workshop I wasn't quite sure what I was doing, so there's lots of things happening there, but it is a much more interesting shape. To me it's starting to tell more of a story. Like now, what is that building? It's kind of evolved into a castle, and I kind of like that idea. This, I still like this shape. It's such a contrast to everything else. A little bit of a chance to play with color and light contrast, but I brought it down in scale so it fits in more naturally to the overall painting. So I was very happy with this because now I'm taking the original idea and I'm playing with it. So this is the latest version of that photo, and it's one I'm just working on now. And because it's really developing a sense of a monumental street scene, I decided to make this even a taller format. So it's actually, the painting is actually 30 inches by 16.5. So I like the buildings. I like the way they kind of drift off into the background. This shape here, I'm much happier making it smaller because by having that smaller it makes the rest of it seem even larger. I like the color and value contrasts that are in there. And this building has now evolved, and I had in my mind the memory of the Excalibur Hotel in Las Vegas, so I kind of went for a castle type shape. I do find the sky shape now is really quite interesting. I like this light here, it draws you down the street. I'm also finding it's telling more of a story. Like when I have a building like this, I'm intrigued who lives there, and it's like in a sense, the boss of this world might possibly live there. And I've become interested recently in skateboarders. So I thought I would, for whatever reason, would throw a couple of them in. And this figure I find quite intriguing, pointing to something. So now this is much more of a story, and it's more of my interpretation of that photo. So I guess the whole point of this little video is that ideas evolve. I hope you are able to get something out of this that will help you with your own painting. We will talk to you later.